Alright guys, welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. This is Ali Plays. You're going to be continuing the Faction Wars series for the tier list. And I've already actually placed the champions you should not use, so we don't have to talk about those. Waste of time. And I'll try to make this as quick as possible, and I hope this helps you guys get Lydia the Death Siren. Right, the first champion we have up is Alaric the Hooded. His A1 ability has a 30% chance to decrease in target's turn meter by 7.5% and decrease the turn meter by further 3% for each buff on the target. So this ability is actually very helpful for faction wars, especially when you're against the boss. The less turns the boss takes, the easier it is for you to survive, obviously. Demand Chivalry. He has a 50% chance of removing 2 random buffs from a target before attacking. Again, that is very good. And he has a 75% chance of stealing 2 random buffs instead of the target has 4 or more buffs. He has an AoE attack that places decreased attack and decreased accuracy on all enemies for 2 turns. So he is actually very good for faction crypts. He also has an aura skill for faction crypts. So he's actually going to be an A tier. I don't consider him S tier. But yeah, A tier is seems about right for him. All right, so we have the uncommon champion Archer. You guys actually might be surprised here. Archer is actually very good for faction wars. She has a double hit over here that has a 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit. She also fills her turn meter by 15% if she actually crits. And her ATO ability is actually AoE that attacks twice. And she has a chance of placing decreased speed. So she basically has AoE decreased speed. So I think that she's not going to carry your team in faction wars, but she can help out. And I actually think that she's A tier. I don't think she's mid tier. So she's going to be up here for faction wars. All right, so Archmage Helmet is up next. You guys know this guy is very good. Most of you guys probably already have him from the normal Doom Tower. He is actually very amazing. He has a turn meter manipulation. He actually has stuns. He has increased speed, increased crit rate, increased crit damage for all your allies. And his passive ability is actually immune to turn meter decreasing effects, which is very good. Yeah, and overall, there's no debate here that this guy is an S tier champion. And next up, we have Azure. So he's a Void Epic. He's one of those champions that people don't talk about. Day 1 ability actually has a chance of, it's a double hit that actually has a 30% chance of placing a stun on an enemy, which is incoming clutch. And the chance increases 100% if the target has increased speed buff. So that's not going to be very common for faction wars, but yeah, the stun can come in handy. He actually has ally protection, which is very good for faction wars. He has an ability that the attack is always, the extra hit is always critical. So how does he get an extra hit? The target has a stun when he hits them. And he steals 50% of the target's turn meter if they are not under a stun debuff. So that's going to be very good for bosses. So overall, I think that he is an A tier for faction wars. All right, so Baron is up next. He's a Void Legendary, so he's going to be hard to get. His A1 ability attacks all remaining enemies with any surplus damage if the target is killed, which can actually be very good for faction wars. 10% chance to unlock a secret skill, Sky Piercer, for 1 turn. So where does Sky Piercer? He attacks all enemies, deals pure damage, ignores shield and block damage buffs. It's actually very amazing. His A2 ability places decreased defense for 2 turns, and the debuff is actually guaranteed. And he has a 20% chance to unlock his Sky Piercer ability with this one right here. A3 ability, he damage increases according to the number of buffs on this champion, and he has a 40% chance to unlock Sky Piercer. We all know Sky Piercer is amazing. So overall, Baron is an S tier for faction wars. All right, next up we have Black Knight, who is also legendary. So he actually has a provoke on his A1, which is very high chance of landing, 75%. Doesn't need any books on it. His A2 ability actually plays continuous heal and increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. Very good as well. Attacks all enemies, damage increases according to the amount of HP this champion has lost. And he places an unkillable buff for 1 turn if incoming damage exceeds 50% max HP in 1 attack. Survivability is the name of the game to get a star, so overall he's an S tier champion. All right, we got Bombarder up next. He's a rare champion. He has a 5% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs by 1 turn. Increasing duration of debuffs is not really helpful in faction wars. He has increased speed, but he only places on himself if he crits. And he has a triple hit that places poisons, but it's only the weak version. So he's a really outdated champion. But I do think that he's usable if you can make it work if you don't have anybody else. But yeah, I wouldn't really recommend working on him, but he's not that bad. Not as bad as these guys down here. Next up, we have Chancellor Yasmin. Her A1 attack is basically a double hit if the target has no active buffs. A2 ability heals an ally by 40% of their max HP, heals by 60% instead of the ally has 50% HP or less. So she does have heals. And she actually also has a 50% chance of removing all buffs from all enemies. And then she plays a sleep for 1 turn on all enemies who have active buffs. So she is very good, and she has a universal aura skill that's a pretty big boost, 20%. So Chancellor Yasmin is going to be an S tier for faction wars. All right, next up we have a Void rare champion who's actually defense based, so you can see some potential already. He has a double hit on his A1 that has a 20% chance of repeating the attack, so he can keep going over and over again. You're lucky, and ignores block damage and shield buff, so he has a very good A1 ability. His A2 ability, he actually has a 50% chance of placing a stun, but if you actually max it out, actually 75% chance stun, which is very good. Lord Protector, he places increased defense and 7.5% catches heal buff and all allies for 2 turns. And yeah, he's very good for faction crypt. So he's actually going to be an A tier for faction crypts. All right, Killian the Lucky's up next. I've actually made a video called Killian the Sucky, because when he first came out, I did not like him. But he's actually one of the best for faction wars, one of the best options. He was a fusion. He has a double hit that actually places decreased speed, and he has a 35% chance of stealing 30% of the target's current turn meter. He's very good. So I did not book him, but I did use him. His A2 ability actually has an 85% chance of placing block active skills. And then he also can place that on all other enemies, which is very good. He actually has a stun here, and his passive actually places random buffs. So yeah, Killian is going to be S tier for faction crypts. All right, we have another uncommon here, which is Commander. Her A1 ability actually has a chance of stunning. You can actually increase the chance to 25%. So that's pretty good for an A1 on an uncommon champion. And she actually heals the ally with the lowest HP by 40% of this champion's HP. She completely fills the target's turn meter if the ally is fully healed. And this champion's turn meter cannot be filled by this skill. So yeah, she's actually surprisingly an A tier for faction wars. All right, now we got Conqueror. He's actually a farmable rare, and he's very good for faction crypts. He has a double hit on his A1. He can remove 2 random buffs from a target, and he can also place block revive on all enemies if he actually kills them with this ability. So he's going to be A tier for faction crypts. All right, Cordier is up next. A1 ability actually has a chance of freezing, but is a very low chance, 25%. A triple hit on her A2. It can actually remove 1 random buff from a target with each hit, so she can remove more than 1. AoE attack that places decreased speed, but it is a very low chance. 33% is just a random number. I don't know why. I think that she is mid tier, so I'll place her there. Crossbowman. So I forgot to put Crossbowman on don't use. So don't use Crossbowman. All right, so we got Dagger up next. If you actually don't have Stagnite, I would recommend using Dagger instead. She actually has turn meter manipulation on her A1. Each critical hit decreases the target's turn meter by 4%. And it's a double hit, so you can actually decrease by 8%, better than nothing. She actually has an AoE decreased defense. It's a 50% if you don't book it, but she's a rare. Her rare books are pretty easy to get. There's going to be 75% chance of placing decreased defense. And she also has decreased attack. She can actually place a big version of decreased attack if the target is under decreased defense. So she's very good for faction crypts. Again, if you do not have Stagnite, I would recommend using Dagger. All right, so Dagger is going to be A tier. Right now we got Duelists, another uncommon. For some reason, the uncommons for Bannerlords are surprisingly good for faction wars. If you look at her A1, she heals by 20% of the damage inflicted, and the heal can actually be bigger if you use books on her, so you got 10% and 15% more. Our A2 ability attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a stun. 50% is pretty good on its own for an uncommon. We can actually increase that to 75% chance, and that's on a 3-turn cooldown. That is very nice. So overall, I would say she's mid-tier, and that's pretty good for an uncommon. All right, now we have another uncommon, Fireblade. So Fireblade actually has decreased attack on her A1, even though it's a low version. It's a weak version, but only if she actually crits can she place decreased attack. And she actually has poison. She has a triple hitter over here, and each hit actually has a 30% chance of placing a 2.5% poison. But if you book it, it's actually 50% chance of placing 2.5% poisons. I think she is mid-tier as well. You guys need poisons. I don't know why you would, but you can use her. All right, now we got Frontline Warrior. So unfortunately, Frontline Warrior is not as good as the other epics. He does have ally protection, but it is the low version, and he only does on 1 ally. So I'd actually put him as usable if you can make it work. All right, next up we have Gerard the Stone. All right, so I do not have Gerard the Stone, but he's very good as well. You can actually do stun on his A1. His A2 ability can place increased crit rate and crit damage on himself and he attacks an enemy, and ignores 25% of the target's defense and ignores 50% if the target's under increased defense. And he actually has a passive where he's immune to fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, and stun. This is actually very good against the boss in faction wars, especially on stage 21. So he's going to be A tier for faction crypts. All right, Jiskar the Sigiled. Defense based. A1 actually has decreased attack. Very good. Very important. AoE provoke. Can also place shield on himself for 2 turns. Plays increased defense, increased attack on all the allies. And he also fills his turn meter by 50% whenever he's attacked by an enemy under provoke or increase attack. So he's actually going to be S tier. So we have Grandmaster. So Grandmaster is not that good. He used to have potential in Clan Boss when you were early game. He has a triple hit on his A1. He can actually place decreased attack, but it's a weak version. And he can place provoke on a target. So I say he's usable if you can make it work, but why would you want to make that work? All right, Alberto is up next, another rare. He has a weaken on his A1. A very low chance, and the only, I don't know, he's kind of weird. He's an attack-based champion, but he can actually increase his damage on his A1. He actually ignores shield and block damage buffs on his ability on his A2, and his passive increases crit damage by 40%. Unfortunately, he's going to be mid-tier for faction crypts. Next up, we have Hellier. Hellier is amazing. You guys probably seen him in Arena. A1, he increases his defense by 5% if the attack is critical. Stacks up to a 20%. He's defense-based, so that is very annoying. He also heals himself by 75% of his defense after attacking if his defense already been increased by 20%. So that's amazing for faction crypts. He has an AoE that places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 20% of the damage inflicted. He can transfer all debuffs from all allies to a target enemy and then attacks that enemy with a default skill. He can actually convert his resistance into additional accuracy when he uses skill. Intercessor, whenever an ally that has 2 or more debuffs is attacked, he actually absorbs 30% of the damage inflicted on that ally. So he helps tremendously in faction crypts. He makes it very easy. And yeah, he's S tier or SS tiered. All right, next up we have a champion that Plarium tried to sell us before, Horden. So he has a double hit on his A1 that grants an extra turn if the target is killed. That can come in handy in faction crypts sometimes. His A2 can actually place decreased attack and heal himself by 10% of the damage inflicted. He has an ability that places increased attack, increased crit rate, and increased speed on himself for 2 turns and grants himself an extra turn. He's a good damage dealer, but he's kind of selfish, and that kind of holds him away from being S tier, so he's going to be A tier. All right, next up we have Knight Errant, who I currently use. He's a very good damage dealer, does too much damage. He actually can place Leech on his A1 and ignores 30% of the target's defense. His A2 ability, he has a 60% chance of placing a stun, which can actually come in handy. And he resets cooldowns on each of his skills if the target is killed, which is very good. His ability actually does a lot of damage. Also, Death Warrant does a lot of damage. He can actually place Weaken with this ability, and damage is increased by 75%. He actually has full HP, so you can you can probably wipe out an enemy with this ability. I think he's underrated for faction crypt. You need a big damage dealer. He is it, and I would actually put him as an A tier faction crypts. All right, Lord Chamfer is up next. He can actually place decreased defense on his A1. He has an AoE decreased attack and decreased accuracy, and he can, at the start of each turn, he can actually place a shield based on 20% of his max HP. He also places decreased speed for 1 turn on whichever enemy attacks him. So that's very good. The only thing this champion is actually missing is a provoke, which would make him very good at, like, in general, all over the place in the game. But yeah, for faction crypts, he is S tier. All right, we'll do a little bit quicker now. The Lordly Legionary, I think he is mid-tier for faction crypts. I do use him, but he is kind of underwhelming, so I dropped him for somebody else. All right, so Lugan is actually amazing. He can block active skills, like AoE block active skills, and he has ally protection, so he can really help you get all the stars for faction crypts. Fearmonger is going to be mid-tier. Minea, she's a very good support. She's going to be S tier. Usually supports are S tier if they are legendary or even epics. All right, so Myrmidon is up next. He actually has ally protection. He has provoke, continuous heal. So he has a big version of ally protection. So he's very good for faction crypts, and that's good because he's a rare. So he's going to be A tier. All right, this one's a sleeper for a lot of people. Oathbound. A lot of people don't talk about him. He's defense based, and he's actually S tier for faction crypts. Look at his kit. He actually has freeze on his A1, which is a 50% chance of placing it, and he actually has an AoE decrease attack that can also decrease each target's turn meter by 20%. And he also has an ability where he attacks 4 times at random. And each attack has a chance of placing block active skills for 2 turns. And the chance of block active skills actually increases 100% if the target is under decreased attack, which he also has in his kit. So yeah, he's S tier champion, and that is very good for a lot of players. All right, so Pikeman is actually going to be usable if you make it work. He only has one ability. He's a common champion, and he's going to be the only common champion that is actually usable if you make it work. So he has freeze on his A1. That's the reason why he's there. Preserver is mediocre. Valerie is good, but she is kind of mediocre. She does have shields. She can place shields on your allies, but I guess she is mediocre for faction crypts. Quaster. So Quasar is actually usable if you can make it work. Raglan is a huge carry. She's a void legendary, hard to get. She's the best support on, in my opinion, she's the best support for the Bannerlord. She has an AoE revive, so she's going to make things very easy. Right off the bold, unfortunately, I think he's one of the only legendaries not S tier for faction crypts. He's going to be A. Rowan, I think she is mid tier for faction crypts. Seneschal, I think he's S tier. He's a very good tank. Septimus, he has to be S tier. He has a ability based on enemy max HP, so he's going to wreck bosses. And if he actually kills an enemy, he gets to go again with his basic attack. So he's very, very powerful. Sathalia is amazing support. She's going to be S tier. She can strip buffs. She can heal your allies. She can remove debuffs and boost your turn meter, decrease enemy's turn meter. So many things going on with her kit, so she's S tier. Squire, I'm actually going to place him as usable if you can make it work. And the reason being is he actually has an AoE decrease attack on his A2, but it is a weak version. Stag Knight, definitely S tier. AoE decrease defense. AoE decrease defense, AoE attack. His passive is actually amazing. Very underrated passive. He can increase accuracy on an ally for 1 turn each time the ally has a debuff resisted by an enemy. And he can also place decreased speed on his A1, which is double hit. Stalwart is usable if you can make it work. Let's not talk too much about him. So Steadfast Marshal, he's going to be mid tier. I do like he has a veil on his ability for all your allies. Ursula, another reviver, S tier. She's void though. Warcaster is going to be A tier. And Wordbearer, uncommon. She's going to be mid tier. You can actually place increased defense for all your allies, but it's only the weak version. All right, so overall, there are actually 30 champions that are considered top tier for faction crypts in the Bannerlords faction. Unfortunately, there's a lot of mid tier, and also Archmage Helmet is like one of the best champions for faction crypts and overall as well. And he's free to play. You can get him. And yeah, Stag Knight. I think a lot of people do have Stag Knight by now. And yeah, overall, I think Bannerlords is an easy faction to complete. And hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you guys did, make sure you guys drop a like. If you guys are new to the channel, you want to see more Raid Shadow Legends videos, consider subscribing. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.
I'm Tyrone. I need everybody to subscribe to the homie Ali Al Plays. And that's non-negotiable either.